Ved Bhakta Vrinda ki Tagore Premanande. All glories to assembled devotees. All glories to assembled devotees. All glories to assembled devotees. All glories, all glories, all glories to Sri Guru and Sri Gauranga. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada ki. Hare Krishna, everybody. My name is Nimisharanya Das, and I am the disciple of His Grace Vaisheshika Maharaj. Today, welcome to the Srimad Bhagavatam class. We'll start with Jai Radha Madhav. Jai Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari Jaya Yashodanandana Brajajana Ranjana Yashodanandana Brajajanaranjana Yashodanandana Brajajanaranjana Yashodanandana Brajajanaranjana Yamunatira Vanachari Yamunatira Vanachari O Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari Yashodanandana Brajajanaranjana Yashodanandana Brajajanaranjana Yamunatira Vanachari Yamunatira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare Hare Oh Jaya Jaya Prabhupada 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 Jaya Jaya Prabhupada Oh Jaya Jaya Gurudev 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 Jaya Jaya Gurudev Oh Nitai Gaura Hari Bol Hari Bol Hari Bol Nitai Gaura Hari Bol Srila Prabhupada ki Tagore Premanande Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Nashtaprayeshu abhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Uttama Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naishtiki. By regular attendance in classes on the Srimad Bhagavatam and by rendering of service to the pure devotee, all that is troublesome to the heart is almost completely destroyed. And loving service unto the personality of Godhead, who is praised with transcendental songs, is established as an irrevocable fact. Narayana Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayamudirayet. Before reciting the Srimad Bhagavatam, which is the very means of conquest, one should offer respectful obeisances unto the personality of Godhead Narayan, unto Nara Narayan Rishi, the supermost human being, unto Mother Saraswati, the goddess of learning, and onto Srila Vyasadeva, the author. So today we'll be reading from Canto 1, Chapter 9, which is titled The Passing Away of Bhishma Dev, and we are on text number 1. Sutta Uvacha. You can all pull it up on your phones. So it's Chapter 9, Canto 1, Chapter 9, text number 1. Did everybody get it? Okay. Sutta Uvacha Iti Bhita Prajadrohad Sarvadharma Vivitsaya Tato Vinashanam Pragat Yatra Deva Vratopatat. Shri Sutta Uvacha Iti Bhita Prajadrohat Sarvadharma Vivitsaya Tato Vinashanam Pragat Yatra Deva Vratopatat. Shri Sutta Uvacha Iti Bhita Prajadrohat Sarvadharma Vivitshaya Tato Vinashanam Pragat Yatra Deva Vratopatat. Somebody like to say it? Shri Sutta Uvacha Iti Bhita Prajadrohat Sarvadharma Vivitsaya Tato Vinashanam Pragat Yatra Deva Vratopatat. Shri Sutta Uvacha Iti Bhita Prajadrohat Sarvadharma Vivitsaya Tato Vinashanam Pragat Yatra Deva Vratopatat. Someone else? Shri Sutta Uvacha Yatra Deva Vratopatat. Anyone else like to say? Shri Sutta Uvacha Iti bhita prajadrohat sarvadharma vivitsaya tato vinashanam pragat yatra devo vratopatat. So word for word, Sutta Uvacha, Sri Sutta Goswami said, Iti, thus, bhitaha, being afraid of, prajadrohat, because of killing the subjects, sarva, all, dharma, acts of religion, vivitsaya, for understanding, tataha, thereafter, vinashanam, the place where the fight was held, pragat, he went, yatra, where, devavrataha, Bhishma Dev, apatat, lay down for passing away. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace, Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Sri Sutta Goswami said, being afraid for having killed so many subjects on the battlefield of Kurukshetra, Maharaj Yudhishthira went to the scene of the massacre. There, Bhishma Dev was lying on a bed of arrows, about to pass away. Purport. In this 9th chapter, as it is willed by Lord Sri Krishna, Bhishma Dev will impart instructions to King Yudhishthira on the subject of occupational duties. Bhishma Dev will also offer his last prayer to the Lord on the verge of passing away from this mortal world and thus become liberated from the bondage of further material engagement. Bhishma Dev was endowed with power of leaving his material body at will, and his lying down on the bed of arrows was his own choice. This passing away of the great warrior attracted the attention of all the contemporary elites, and all of them assembled there to show their feelings of love, respect, and affection for the great soul. You can all say, Om Jnana Timirandhasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurun Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamhayyam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunatham Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadhutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vrishakham Vitamscha He Krishna Karuna Sindho Deenabandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vancha Kalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya Evacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasadi Shri Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Translation again was Sri Sutta Goswami said, Hare Krishna, thank you. being afraid for having killed so many subjects on the battlefield of Kurukshetra, Maharaj Yudhishthira went to the scene of the massacre. There, Bhishma Dev was lying on a bed of arrows, about to pass away. So, the context is that the Kurukshetra war has just ended. And millions upon millions of people have been killed. And Yudhishthira Maharaj, like we read in chapter 8, he was actually feeling very morose, and he was feeling very guilty and responsible for so many people getting massacred on the battlefield. He was actually lamenting like a material person. He was lamenting just like how a material person laments when he's going through some problems. Now, Maharaj Yudhishthir, he is not an ordinary person. He is a great devotee. He is Dharmaraj. He is actually one of the three people who are mentioned in the Srimad Bhagavatam as Haridas, the servant of Hari. Does anybody know the other two? So, one is Govardhan. Govardhan is such a wonderful devotee that he is mentioned as Haridas. And the other is Uddhav. Uddhav is also known as Haridas. So, here we see Yudhishthir, he was not an ordinary person. He is actually a pure devotee of Krishna. That person was actually lamenting like a material person, which only shows that Krishna actually put Maharaj Yudhishthir in this circumstance for a higher purpose. There was an external reason why Krishna actually put his dear devotee Yudhishthir in such a situation. We see the same thing which happened to Arjuna before the beginning of the battle at Kurukshetra. Arjuna, seeing all his relatives, his Gandiva, the supreme fighter who had worked all his life as a warrior trying to fight, this was his chance to fight. But when he saw all his relatives assembled on the battlefield of Kurukshetra, his Gandiva started to slip. His skin started to burn, right? And he told Krishna that, Krishna, I don't want to fight. Now, how many times has that happened to us? That, our mind starts to reel. Our plans which we have, they all go down the drain, right? Many times. So, this is Krishna's mercy to be able to help each one of us to understand how we have to lead our life by putting his dear associates, who are eternal associates, under the influence of Yoga Maya, so that way he can explain to us what the purpose is. So here, Maharaj Yudhishthir was also put in such a circumstance. Before the battle started, Maharaj Yudhishthir knew why the battle needs to be performed. He knew that the dharma had to prevail. He knew that the fight had to happen. But after the war, when Maharaj Yudhishthir started to see the massacre of so many people who were killed on the battlefield, his mind started to reel. Great sages like Vyasadeva and all the different rishis, they tried to pacify Maharaj Yudhishthir. But he was so aggrieved that he was not able to come to terms with it. Not only the great sages, but even Lord Krishna, who was present, also tried to pacify him and explain to him why this needed to happen. But still, Maharaj Yudhishthir was not able to come out from that situation. At that time, Maharaj Yudhishthir was then brought in front of Bhishma Dev. And this was Krishna's way to actually help glorify his devotee. Was it because that the sages were not competent? No. The sages were very competent. Krishna himself, the all-knowing Satchid Ananda, they all tried to help him, but Maharaj Yudhishthira was put in such a situation that he was not wanting to get pacified. And this was Krishna's will. Nobody can understand Krishna's will, right? This is Krishna's will because he wants to glorify his dear devotee, Bhishma. Bhishma Dev was a Mahajan. A Mahajan is somebody who is a Param Vaishnav. And he knew and he understood the two dharmas. He understood the material dharma and the spiritual dharma. The material dharma is how to lead as a king, how to be a good politician. He was a great debater. He was a warrior. He knew how to take care of the subjects in the kingdom. That was the material dharma. He also knew the spiritual dharma, which was to be Krishna conscious. He knew that Krishna was the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And that, dear devotees, is our situation. We have to balance both the material dharma and our spiritual dharma. We have to balance it in such a way that we are able to then come to the spiritual dharma, which is to understand that we are an eternal spark and we are part and parcel of Krishna. Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Each one of us has a unique relationship with Krishna, which we have forgotten. And through this process of Krishna consciousness, which we have so nicely got in this human form of life, we'll be again able to establish that relationship. That is the spiritual dharma. So we have to live in this material world following both our material dharma and our spiritual dharma. And it actually takes a sober person to help us understand and extract this from the material dharma to facilitate our spiritual dharma, right? This sober person, this rare person who is able to understand not only the material dharma, but also the spiritual dharma, that person is a Mahatma or a Mahajan. This person is very knowledgeable. And Bhishma Dev was the best Mahajan who was present on the earth at that time. He was a great politician, he was a great warrior, he was a great strategist, but most importantly, he was a great devotee of the Lord. He was a Mahajan. The kings also have to be Mahajans because the world is so complex and the kings need to be able to understand how to navigate the spiritual and the material. Therefore, if we see our Vedic culture, the kings used to have Raja Rishis. They used to have sages in their council as advisors. Why? So that way they could get sage advice from them to be able to understand what is the correct decision based on each situation. And Bhishma Dev here was the best, and hence Krishna wanted Bhishma Dev to teach Maharaj Yudhishthira how to become a Mahajan. So in the Srimad Bhagavatam it is said, Shushusho Shraddhanasya Vasudeva Katharuchi Shan Mahat Sevya Vipra Punya Tirtha Nishevanat. The translation is, O twice born sages, by serving those devotees. Which devotees? The Mahatmas, who are completely free from all vice, great service is done. By such service, one gains affinity for hearing the message of Vasudeva. So that is our purpose, right? That is our purpose, that we have to somehow become Krishna conscious. However, at present, we are absorbed in so many external subject matters, right? We are self-centered, we're bodily conscious. Some people might be a little bit higher than that, they might be family conscious. Somebody might be higher than that, and they might be community conscious. or they could be state conscious or nation conscious, or they could be international conscious. But if you think about it, it is only a small planet in this big cosmos. You can go even further and become maybe interplanetary conscious, but still it is just in this material universe. There's so many different cosmos. So the main thing is that we have to somehow come to this consciousness that we are a spirit spark and there is an eternal spiritual world which is never ending. And how do we get there? We get there by actually taking shelter of a Mahatma, somebody who is self-realized. And that is actually the main purpose of a Vaishnava. The main purpose of a Vaishnava is to deliver the fallen souls, to share this gift with everyone. Just like how our dear Srila Prabhupada, who was perfectly situated in Vrindavan, left Vrindavan at the age of 70 only to come here to give this gift to others, so he could deliver the fallen souls. There are so many wonderful examples, right, of like Haridas Thakur, Nityanand Prabhu. Like Vaishnavas are always eager to deliver the fallen souls. And that's why in this verse it says, Shan Mahat Sevaya. We have to take shelter of a Mahat, a Mahatma. A Mahatma is described in Bhagavad Gita as Bahunam Janmana Ante Jnanavan Mam Prapadyate Vasudeva Sarvamiti Sat Mahatma Sudurlabha. Sudurlabha. Right? That person is a very rare soul. Who is a very rare soul? The person who after many, many births and deaths has actually in knowledge surrendered onto Krishna, knowing Krishna as the cause of all causes. That person is a great soul and he is very, very rare. Krishna also says, or Brahma says, right, in his prayers, Ishvara Parama Krishna Satchid Ananda Vigraha Anadir Adir Govinda Sarva Karana Karanam. A Mahatma understands this, realizes this, that Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. He is the beginning of the beginningless. He is the cause of all the causes, right? And Krishna also says in the Bhagavad Gita, Aham sarvasya prabhavo mata sarvam pravartate iti matva bhajante mam buddha bhava samanvita. He says, I am the source of all spiritual and material worlds. He's explaining that I am the source. Everything emanates from me. The wise who perfectly know this engage in my devotional service, and they worship me with all their hearts. So such a person is actually called a Mahatma. So there are 12 Mahajans, and Bhishma Dev was one of them. So the 12 Mahajans were Swambhur Narada Shambhu, Kumara Kapilo Muni, Prahlado Janaka Bhishmano, Balir Vaivashakir Vayam. So it was Lord Brahma, Narada, Shiva, the 4 Kumaras, Kapiladev, Swayambhuva Manu, Prahlad Maharaj, Bali Maharaj, and we have Bhishma Dev. So we can understand that Bhishma Dev was such a Mahatma present there. He was self-realized. He was the ideal person to actually instruct Maharaj Yudhishthir. And this was actually the purpose of Krishna. So Krishna wanted to glorify his devotee. So Bhishma Dev was actually on the bed of arrows on the battlefield of Kurukshetra. So a question might come up that if Bhishma Dev was such a great devotee, which he was or he is, why was he not able to survive the battle? just like the Pandavas. Why did he actually have to pass away like all the others in the Kaurava party? So we should understand that there were two reasons why Bhishma actually had to fight on the side of the Kauravas. One was because he was called Devavrata initially, right? And he wanted to actually please his father. His father's name was Shantanu, and Shantanu wanted to marry Satyavati. And when Shantanu understood that, I'm pretty old and I shouldn't be getting married, Bhishma Dev, when he came to know this, he actually went all the way to the father and asked for Satyavati's hand for his dad's marriage. But Satyavati's father, he actually had 3 conditions. He put 3 conditions to Bhishma Dev. The first condition he put was that your father can marry my daughter only if my daughter's son becomes the king. So when Bhishma Dev heard this, Bhishma Dev immediately took the vow that he is going to renounce the throne. But then the father was still not satisfied. The father again asked another vow, another condition, that, well, if your son, Bhishma Dev's son, wants to actually become the king, then what's going to happen? So Bhishma Dev again took another vow, and he said that I will never marry. And this was unprecedented. As a Kshatriya, and at that time Kshatriyas used to have more than one wife, he took this vow that he is always going to be chaste, right? He is not going to get married. And when the demigods heard this, they showered petals, because it was such a great vow, right? That's how he got his name, Bhishma. It was such a terrible vow. But then the father was still not satisfied. The father asked another condition, that what happens if the sons of my daughter are weak? What would happen then? And then Bhishma took another vow, his third vow, and the third vow was, I will protect the throne of Hastinapur till I am alive. When Shantanu heard this, Bhishma Dev's father, he was filled with so much compassion for his son, and he gave 2 boons to his son. The first boon, the first benediction was that you will have the opportunity to die whenever you feel like dying. Ichha Mrityu. It's called Ichha Mrityu. He could die whenever he wanted to die. And the second benediction which his father gave him was, no one can actually defeat you in the battlefield. So you can understand that, Shantanu, who was actually a king, a Kshatriya, he had so much power at that time that he could give benedictions, and those benedictions would come true. Right? We don't have that power now. So Bhishma Dev that was one of the main reasons that Bhishma Dev was on the side of the Kauravas, because he had taken this vow of always protecting Hastinapur. And because he was being maintained by the king, he was eating the salt of that kingdom. And he had that gratitude that I have to help this kingdom. Even though he knew that the Kauravas were wrong, still, to uphold his vow and for dharma's sake, he fought on the side of the Kauravas. From Krishna's side, Krishna wanted Bhishma to fight from the Kaurava side for 2 reasons. Krishna also had a purpose. And Krishna's reason was, Krishna wanted to send a strong message to this world that anyone, however strong this person is, if that person fights against me, that person is going to be vanquished. And the second reason was he also wanted to show that however somebody is weak, if Krishna is on their side, like in this case, the Pandava army was weaker than the Kauravas army. But still, because the Pandavas were having Krishna on their side, the Pandavas were successful. So, we also see in the Bhagavad Gita in the 18th chapter, right? Sanjaya says that whenever and wherever Krishna and his pure devotee Arjuna are present, there's always going to be victory. So Krishna wanted to show that by Bhishma's example. So devotees have so many challenges, right? We have so many challenges. But still, if we are able to surrender to Krishna, then Krishna is going to ensure that yes, you might have some challenges, you will go through some difficulties, but in the end, you will be victorious. There was another confidential reason why he wanted Bhishma to fight on the other side. And the confidential reason was Krishna wanted to go through Veeraras, right? He wanted to actually go through that whole rasa of chivalry. And chivalry happens only when you're fighting against an enemy. When he is in the spiritual world, there are no enemies. So Krishna is not able to experience that rasa. And for him to be able to enjoy that rasa, he sends his eternal associates, his close associates, to take powerful forms, so that way he is able to fight and enjoy that Veera rasa. So that, it said, our acharyas say that when Bhishma Dev was shooting arrows at Krishna, it felt like flowers on Krishna's body. Like Krishna was so satisfied. And Bhishma Dev, from his side, he also did his part by somehow breaking Krishna's vow that Krishna is not going to fight in the battlefield. And Krishna then took up the wheel, right? Eka chakra. So that way he was able to fight. So this way, Bhishma Dev was actually on the bed of arrows. This Mahajan, right, he was fighting on the other side. Even though he was a great devotee, he had to pass away. Now, the pure devotees, so it's said in the Kurukshetra battle that whoever was killed by Krishna, that person gets liberated, right? Gets their eternal swarup. It is also said that whoever died on this battlefield with Krishna looking, they were also liberated. It is also said in the Bhagavatam that if a devotee of Krishna kills somebody, that person is also liberated. And that is what we're seeing here. That Arjuna, the pure devotee of Krishna, he had actually shot arrows at Bhishma Dev, and then Bhishma Dev was lying on the bed of arrows. Actually, before the start of the Kurukshetra war, Maharaj Yudhishthir, he went over to the other side. And as he was going to the other side, everybody on the Pandava side were thinking that, oh, Maharaj Yudhishthir has given up. I think he's going and surrendering. But Maharaj Yudhishthir was going to get blessings from Bhishma Dev. So, a good instruction for us is not to judge people till we understand the full story. So Bhishma Dev, when he saw Maharaj Yudhishthir coming and asking for his blessings, he asked for 2 blessings. And Bhishma Dev said that, I'm so happy that you've come here, Yudhishthir, because if you hadn't come, I would have cursed you. So please ask me, what would you like? And Maharaj Yudhishthir asks him that, Bhishma Dev, O grandsire, please tell me, how can I kill you? Or what is the way for me to kill you? But Bhishma Dev said, that is not possible. But at the time when it is appropriate, I will let you know what is the process in which you can actually get me. So this is a very important instruction, that we have to get blessings from these Mahatmas. So we also see one more important aspect which I really liked in the purport which Srila Prabhupada explained, was that at this time many people were present. Great warriors were attracted. This great warrior attracted the attention of contemporary elites, and all of them assembled here. So what I was reflecting was the ripples which are caused in an ocean, right? Like if a stone is thrown in the water, we see these ripples. And this is the effect of a devotee. And we recently saw the ripple effect of His Holiness Gopal Krishna Goswami leaving, right, disappearing. And we could feel that effect. And the same way, when Bhishma Dev was about to pass away from this material universe, we saw the ripple effect that so many great sages assembled there. Just so they are able to hear from Bhishma Dev. And Krishna wanted Bhishma Dev to actually instruct Maharaj Yudhishthir. So he's just about to leave his body, and Krishna is actually telling him to give a Srimad Bhagavatam class. Right? And Bhishma Dev immediately took upon that service. So when we chant the holy name, the Hare Krishna Mahamantra, we are actually praying to Krishna that, oh Krishna, please, if you are so merciful, engage us in your service. And when service comes, we should be ready. We should be ready to accept and serve. So this is a very nice example from this verse, that how Bhishma Dev was getting ready to depart. We also see how Krishna put Maharaj Yudhishthir in this position to be able to get instructions from Bhishma Dev. We also understand why Bhishma Dev was to fight from the other side. And it's a good instruction for us to take and keep, that we should always serve Mahatmas and Mahajanas and hear from them. So we'll stop here and we'll try to get some reflections from devotees. Anything which stuck to you? Any comments? Mother Kunti. Okay, I'll repeat. Yeah. So Mother Kunti is making the point that our heart is a labyrinth of material desires. And sometimes we get so caught up in our own maze that we don't know how to get out. So Mother Kunti, she is so merciful that she knows the answer, but for our benefit, she's asking us that, is it okay for us to approach a devotee, a friend, a Mahatma, who can help us and guide us through this maze? Yes. That is one of the key of devotional services. There are 64 ways in which we can perform our devotional service. And one of them is, there are 5 main ones, and one of the 5 is devotee association. Sangha. Sangha is so important. Sangha with like-minded devotees. when somebody where we are able to share our mind, our heart, we're able to be vulnerable, somebody who doesn't judge us when we share our difficulties. We should always have one friend where we are able to share our heart with. We don't need an army of people, but even one person is okay. And that person will definitely guide us, so we are able to come out of this labyrinth, this maze of material world. It is said that the spiritual master, when we surrender to a spiritual master, the spiritual master is the guide of our ship. So this body is a boat, and the soul is on this boat. And our spiritual master is actually the guide of this boat. And he is trying to direct us through this ocean of material misery. And the favorable winds which are coming, that is, the Srimad Bhagavatam, the devotional services. These are all the favorable winds which will actually guide us all the way to the spiritual world. So thank you. Thank you for bringing up this point. Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna. Mother Tulsi. Hare Krishna. Mm. So Mother Tulsi is making the point that we discussed how Krishna wanted to experience Vira Rasa, and there are 5 primary mellows, which are Shanta Ras, Dasya Ras, Sakhya Ras, Vatsalya Ras, and Madhurya Ras. And Madhurya Ras is the conjugal love, the mellow. And Mother Tulsi is making the point that if Krishna is experiencing Madhurya Ras, which encompasses all the rasas, then why does he want to experience just the Vira Ras? So difficult to understand Krishna. However, we've seen from Shastra that whatever Krishna does, there's not just one reason why he does it. There are so many different reasons why he does something in particular. He knew that Bhishma Dev had to fight on the other side. He knew that Bhishma Dev wanted to, even though he was a pure devotee of Krishna, he knew his desire. And to fulfill his desire, he was put into that situation. Krishna also had his desire, which was to please his devotee. He was also trying to protect his pure devotee Arjuna, because if he hadn't taken up this Vira Ras, taking up this wheel, he knew that Arjuna would be killed on the battlefield. So many things. Just in one pastime, there are so many things which are going on. And then again, like each mellow is so sweet, right? Like if you just look at Vatsalya Bhav, right? Mother Yashoda, taking care of Krishna, running behind Krishna in the Damodar pastime, right? Like it's such a sweet pastime. Like Krishna is breaking the pot. Mother Yashoda is running behind him. She's trying to tie him, but it's always 2 fingers too short. like each pastime is so pleasing. And he wanted to experience that specific bhav. So I think that's the reason why he wanted to experience that. If you take the example of the Veera Ras again, there's some other examples too, like Jai Vijay, right? The example of Jai Vijay is they were pure devotees of Krishna. It is said that Krishna ran when he heard that the 4 Kumaras are cursing Jai and Vijay. He ran barefoot. And it's said that his hand was on Garuda, right? Usually he's sitting behind, but his hand was on Garuda because he was running in front of Garuda. He was running. He wanted to save his pure devotees. And we know the story that how Jai and Vijay then came down as these demons, right? So in one way he had to protect his devotees, but at the same time he sent his pure associates, so he's able to experience that Veera Rasa. So I hope that was okay. If anybody wants to add something more to this, please. He also sees the pleasure of his devotees, and that gives more pleasure to Krishna. Yeah, Bhishma Dev also wanted to experience that. He wanted to see, like, Krishna, I'm going to break your vow. So, Hare Krishna, yes. Yeah. So the point is that there's so many different reasons, and Bhishma Dev wanted to see the smiling face of Krishna. And actually, in this chapter, the prayer which Bhishma Dev gives to Krishna is that, Krishna, I'm actually now remembering that beautiful smile of yours which is covered with the dust. That was the moment where he's remembering Krishna and then leaving this world. So thank you. Yes. No. So what happened was Bhishma Dev so Duryodhan had come to Bhishma Dev the night before, and he said that this is taking too long, and I think you're on the Pandava side. You're not fighting on our side. And Bhishma Dev got so angry, he said, tomorrow I'm going to kill them. And that was a very fierce battle that day. And Bhishma Dev was on a rampage. And Krishna knew that today, if I don't break my vow, my dear friend Arjuna is going to be in trouble. So at that time, Krishna actually took the wheel of the chariot, and Arjuna is trying to stop Krishna, that Krishna, no, this is your vow, not to fight. But Krishna just took the wheel, and then he threw the wheel. And the wheel was thrown so powerfully that it actually landed in Ekachakra near Mayapur, where Nityanand Prabhu's birthplace is. No. And then Arjuna started to shoot arrows, he shot arrows in such a way so powerfully that and Bhishma Dev was just seeing Krishna. And he was just blissed out. And at that point, Arjuna took the opportunity, even though Arjuna was crying inside and outside, he had to just do it. And he came on the bed of arrows. He laid down on the bed of arrows. But because he had Ichha Mrityu, that he could leave his body whenever he could, he was there witnessing the entire Kurukshetra battle. And at the end of the battle, this is when all the Pandavas and Krishna appear. He gives, the material dharma to Yudhishthir, and then he says his last prayers to Krishna. He sees that the sun is going in the northern hemisphere, in the Uttarayan, and that's when he says that this is a good time for me to leave, and then he leaves his body. And then Srila Prabhupada makes a point in that purport that devotees don't have to consider what time we have to leave. If we are able to remember Krishna, that is successful. So, Hare Krishna. Any other final point, Prabhu? Hare Krishna. The bed of arrows. So, what is your name, Prabhu? Venkat Prabhu. Hare Krishna. So, Prabhu is making the point that in Srimad Bhagavatam, there are all these different pastimes, and there's always a meaning or something for us to assimilate from each of these pastimes. And what can we understand that Bhishma Dev is on the bed of arrows? And how can we take that message in our lives? So, Srimad Bhagavatam, Chaitanya Charitamrita, Bhagavad Gita, all these Shastras are for our benefit. Our Acharyas explain that when we read, we should not read it in such a way that Krishna is telling Arjuna, we should put our names there. That Krishna is telling Naimisharanya Das, do this, right? Or telling Venkat Prabhu, do this. So that is one important point, that all these Shastras are our use case manuals, that we have to go to the Shastra whenever we have any difficulty, because nothing is happening new to us which has not happened. We have to refer to the Shastra for anything and everything. From the bed of arrows, what I can understand, my reflection would be that Bhishma Dev is this pure devotee of Krishna. He is a Mahajan. He knew that this was Krishna's desire to protect his devotee, Arjuna, and that's the reason why he accepted Arjuna to be able to shoot him the arrows. He was in pain. His body was in pain, and yet externally he was in pain, but internally he was so happy to see Krishna because he was surrendered. And my reflection would be that externally we might be going through a lot of difficulties. Just like Prahlad Maharaj. Prahlad Maharaj, 5-year-old boy, he went through so many difficulties. His father tried to throw him down the cliff, put him in a pit with snakes, put him in a fireball, try to burn him, have elephants stomp on him. But yet, Prahlad Maharaj was okay. Why? Bhishma Dev was okay. Why? Because the main thing was they kept the main thing, which was to keep Krishna in the center. So our learning should be that, yeah, we are going to go through a lot of difficulties. Any devotee we take from the Shastra went through so many difficulties. But still, if we keep Krishna in the center of our lives and we surrender to Krishna and we remember that our difficulties could have been a lot more, but Krishna actually made them less. And the reason why he's making us go through some difficulty is for our learning. There's something for us to learn. What is the lesson in that for us? If we remember that, then we'll be able to understand the situation. And everybody is going through something. If you look around, everybody is going through some difficulty. And each person's difficulty is different from the other person's difficulty. So Krishna has this unique way for each one of us to understand what we need to understand in our lives. So, hope that was okay. Hare Krishna. Prabhu? Yes, Mataji. We should not judge people, yeah. Mhm. Yes. So the point, what's your name, Mataji? Padmaja. Padmaja Mataji is asking the question that uh, we made a point in the class that we should not judge people without knowing the full story. And how did that point come in the class? So Maharaj Yudhishthir, when the battle was about to start, he left his chariot and walked all the way to the Kaurava side. And at that time, while he was walking, on the Pandava side, they thought that, oh, Maharaj Yudhishthir has given up. He is going to surrender. He's such a coward. This Kshatriya is a coward. He's not worthy for us, for him to be here. So they started to judge him. Doesn't that happen in our lives? Don't we judge people too? Right? So the point was that after he went there, got blessings, and he came back, then people understood that, the whole perspective changed. They were like, wow, such a wonderful devotee. He actually went and he got blessings. So the point is that there's always a reason for somebody to do something. And we are nobody to judge the other person. Who are we to judge? We've done so much in our millions of lifetimes. Does Krishna judge us? No. Krishna is here. He's waiting. Please come. When is this person going to come back to me? When Krishna is not judging us, who are we to judge somebody? So the point is that we should not judge anybody. And even if there is an opinion, please understand the whole picture before we make our opinions. Yeah. Prabhu, would you like to share something? No? Okay. All right, we'll stop here. Thank you, everybody. Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai. Bhishma Dev ki jai. Ki jai. Srila Gurudev ki jai. Vancha kalpatarubhyascha kripa sindhubhya evacha. Patitanam pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. Anantakoti Vaishnava Vrinda ki jai.